All right, so today we're going to look into something kind of different. A bunch of you have sent in some sources about why your dog eats rocks. And you know what? I got to admit, I'm a little curious myself. I mean, I know you guys are probably worried about your pup's health and maybe a little tired of that crunching sound.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to unpack these two research excerpts we've got and really try to get to the bottom of this.
Yep.
Get ready for some surprises, though, because we're about to unlock the mysteries behind your dog's rocky cravings.
Yeah, one of the things that really jumps out from these sources is that it might not just be a puppy thing.
Ah.
You know how everyone always thinks, oh, puppies just explore the world with their mouths and they'll grow out of it.
Yeah, I totally thought that too. Like puppies are just a little mounds on legs, right?
Exactly. But these sources are saying that this rock eating thing can actually stick around into adulthood. And that's when it can be a sign of something else going on.
Oh, really? So like more than just teething.
Yeah, way more.
So besides the whole puppy phase, what are some of the other reasons a dog might be munching on rocks? Well, one possibility that both sources talk about is boredom. Imagine being stuck inside all day. Not much to do. Suddenly that rock in the corner starts to look pretty interesting.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got nothing else going on, might as well sample the local landscaping, right?
Right, exactly. But it can actually be even deeper than that. The sources connect this to anxiety stress,
No.
even attention seeking. It's almost like their way of trying to say, hey, something's not right here.
Yeah, so like a furry little cry for help.
Exactly.
Like, hey, pay attention to me.
Right.
I need more walks, more playtime, maybe a puzzle to work my brain.
Speaking of things that can hurt, though, we do need to talk about the elephant, or rather the rock in the room.
Right.
Both sources really emphasize the dangers of this behavior.
For sure.
And we all kind of know eating rocks can't be good for a dog, but I mean, what kind of damage are we really talking about here beyond, a tummy ache?
Yeah, well, first of all, think about those teeth. Dogs' teeth are strong,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not invincible, right?
Mm.
Those rocks can easily chip or fracture a tooth. Yeah, and
Yep.
then you're looking at paying expensive dental work.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that.
And then it gets even worse if they actually swallow the rock.
Oh, right, because then,
Then you can get a gastrointestinal blockage,
oh gosh.
which is serious stuff. Often needs surgery. And we can't forget about those sharp edges potentially causing internal injuries.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking way more than just a quirky habit here.
Absolutely. This is a real health hazard.
And it sounds like something we need to take pretty seriously if we're seeing it. Now, this brings us to a term that you might not be familiar with, pica. Pica, that like a pizza topping or something?
Not quite.
Okay, good.
Pica is actually a condition where dogs crave and eat things that aren't food. So that includes rocks, dirt fabric, all kinds of stuff.
Really? So there's an actual name for this. It's not just bad manners or a stubborn streak.
Nope, it's a real condition.
Yeah.
And it can be a sign of all sorts of things. Nutritional deficiencies, underlying medical problems, even psychological issues like anxiety.
Wow, this rock eating thing is way more complicated than I thought. It's not just about stopping a funny quirk. It's about figuring out what's really going on.
Exactly. And the good news is our sources actually give some practical advice on how to deal with this behavior. So we'll get into that next.
Okay, so we've talked about how rock eating can actually be a sign of something bigger going on with our dogs.
Right.
But what can we do about it? Like, are there any actual solutions?
Yeah, both sources actually have some good tips.
Oh,
The
perfect.
first thing they mention is training. Yeah, good old-fashioned training.
Okay, so back to basics.
Yeah, exactly. Like teaching commands like leave it and drop it.
Oh, so just giving them a clear signal that rocks are off limits.
Right. Even if those rocks are looking super tempting at that moment.
I can imagine that's tough for them, though. Like, shiny rock, gotta try it.
But the key is consistency.
Mm.
Like the more you practice these commands in different situations, the more likely your dog is to actually listen when they're about to snag a rock.
So it's all about building that good habit,
Yeah.
but for obedience. I like that. And while we're working on those commands, what about those chew toys we talked about earlier?
Oh, yeah. Those are key.
Any tips on choosing ones that'll actually keep our dogs entertained and hopefully away from the rocks?
Well, the most important thing is durability.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You want a toy that can handle your dog's chewing power.
Especially if you got a heavy chewer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You don't want those toys falling apart in 5 minutes.
Definitely learn that lesson the hard way.
And size is important too.
Mm,
You don't want it too small because that could be a choking hazard,
right.
but too big and they might just get frustrated and lose interest.
Okay, so Goldilocks and the 3 chew toys. Not too big, not too small, just right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to try different textures and shapes. Some dogs love those plush toys. Others prefer hard rubber or nylon.
Yeah, it's like Gotta find what works for your pup.
Exactly. Experiment and see what they enjoy the most.
Yeah, I love that. So it's like creating a whole chew toy buffet to keep things interesting. Speaking of keeping things interesting, what about those enrichment activities we
Oh,
discussed?
yeah, those are super important.
Besides puzzle toys,
Hmm.
are there any other creative ways to keep our dogs mentally stimulated and hopefully, rock free?
Oh, there are tons of things you could do. Like scent games are a great option.
Scent games? Yeah.
You can hide treats around the house or yard.
Oh, so they have to like sniff them out?
Exactly. Use their amazing noses.
It's like a treasure hunt for dogs.
It is. It taps into their natural instincts
Hmm.
and gives them a mental workout.
Love that. And I bet they love it.
They do. You can also try teaching them new tricks, playing hide and seek, setting up little obstacle courses in your yard.
These all sound so fun.
They are.
I'm realizing I need to step up my game a little bit.
Well, and remember, exercise is just as important as mental stimulation.
Oh, right, of
A
course.
tired dog is less likely to get into mischief.
Makes sense.
So lots of walks, playtime, maybe a trip to the dog park to burn off some energy.
You gotta get those zoomies out.
Exactly. And if you're looking for something a little more structured, you could even consider dog sports, like agility training or obedience training.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it gives them physical and mental challenges, and it can really strengthen your bond with your dog.
I love all these suggestions. I'm already feeling inspired to try some new things with my pup. But
Yeah.
what about those cases where, the rock eating seems more serious? Like we suspect it might be pica or a nutritional deficiency. What role does the vet play in all this?
Yeah, that's when it's really important to get professional help.
So don't just try to figure it out on our own.
Right. If you see your dog eating rocks consistently, or you notice other changes in their appetite or behavior, definitely talk to your vet.
Okay, so they can help us figure out what's really going on.
Exactly. They can run tests, maybe do some blood work to check for deficiencies.
Oh, okay.
They might suggest some behavioral modification techniques or even medication in some cases.
So the vet is really like our partner in all of this.
Exactly. They have the training and the tools to help us keep our dogs safe and healthy.
That's great. Now, I have to ask about something you mentioned earlier, that idea of dogs mirroring our own love for rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any actual evidence for that?
Well, there's not a ton of research on that specific thing,
Okay.
but we know that dogs are super tuned in to our actions and emotions.
They can totally sense our vibes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are studies that show they can recognize human emotions just from our facial expressions, our tone of voice, even our body language.
That's amazing.
And they're social learners, meaning they learn by watching and imitating others.
So, like, my dog learns new tricks just by watching other dogs at the park.
Exactly.
So it's not crazy to think that they might see us picking up rocks, looking at them with interest, and then want to do the same thing.
Right. And remember, for dogs, their mouths are like their primary way of exploring the world.
Yeah, they're always putting things in their mouths.
Exactly. So it's natural for them to want to check out those rocks the same way they explore everything else.
By giving them a taste test.
Exactly.
Wow, this is all so fascinating. It really makes you think twice about those little things our dogs do. There's a lot more going on beneath the surface.
For sure. And it shows how important it is to pay attention to what they're doing and try to understand why.
Yeah, those little quirks can actually tell us a lot.
They can. And this deep dive has been a great reminder that our dogs are complex creatures with their own unique ways of talking to us.
I love that.
Sometimes those unusual behaviors like eating rocks are their way of saying, hey, something's wrong. Or maybe they're just trying to show us love in their own way.
Oh, that's so sweet. So it's all about understanding empathy and paying attention.
Exactly. And it makes that bond we have with our furry friends even stronger.
I completely agree. Well, I don't know about you, but my mind is officially blown.
Me too.
Wait.
We've learned so much about something that a lot of people probably just dismiss as weird.
Right, like who knew there was so much to this whole rock eating thing?
Exactly. But as we've seen, there's often a lot more to the story.
Yeah, from health risks to psychology and even that amazing connection we have with our dogs.
For sure. And while we've covered a lot today, there's always more to learn. Of course there is. Yeah, so in the final part of our deep dive, we'll talk about some more tips for preventing rock eating.
Okay, good, because I need all the help I can get.
And we'll also share some heartwarming stories about dogs and their special bonds with their humans.
That sounds lovely. Can't wait.
Welcome back. We've been on quite a journey with this whole rock eating thing.
We have. It's amazing how much we've learned just from looking at this one weird behavior.
I know, right? Such a whole secret world of dog stuff.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to something you mentioned earlier, prevention.
Oh, yeah.
Like, If we know our dog is a rock eater, or maybe we just want to be extra careful, what are some things we can do to prevent them from getting those rocks in their mouths in the first place?
Well, one of the biggest things is just being aware of their environment.
Right.
If you're in a place with a lot of
It's
rocks,
like a gravel driveway or something? Yeah, exactly. Be extra careful. Keep them on a leash, supervise them closely, and be ready to redirect their attention if they start looking at those pebbles.
so it's like limiting those opportunities before they even happen.
Right. Kind of like baby-proofing your house.
Exactly. And I guess just like with baby proofing, consistency is key.
Oh, absolutely. If
Okay.
you're sometimes relaxed about it and sometimes not, your dog's going to get mixed signals.
Yeah, that makes sense. Got to be clear about the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that can help, I think it's worth mentioning diet again.
Oh, right, because we talked about how nutritional deficiencies can play a role.
Yeah, so even if you're doing all the training and management stuff, making sure they're getting the right nutrients is important too.
So feeding them a good quality food that's right for their needs.
Exactly.
And if we're ever unsure about their diet or if we notice any changes in how they're eating,
Always talk to your vet.
yeah, they can help us figure out if there's something else going on.
Right. Going through all this information, it's really made me realize there's so much more to our dog's behavior than we often give them credit for.
I agree. It's easy to just dismiss those quirks as part of their personality.
Yeah. But sometimes those little things are trying to tell us something.
Exactly. It might be that something's wrong, or maybe they're just trying to show us love in their own weird way.
That's a good way to put it.
So it's all about understanding empathy and really paying attention.
And that's what strengthens that bond we have with our furry friends.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. We went from why does my dog eat rocks to a whole exploration of how dogs think and feel and how we connect with them.
And how to keep them safe and healthy.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another adventure in the world of dogs.